Hello. Thank you, and greetings from Austria, where it is about 4:30 in the afternoon right now. Um, my peace research started with the question, can a country become peaceful when there is still a widespread use of violence against children? And to be precise, I mean corporal punishment of children. So that was the question that struck me. And you don't have to be a scientist or a sociologist to answer this question. Anyone, it's also a philosophical question. Anyone can discuss this matter with friends and families. Can we become, especially if you live in a country where physical punishment of children is still legal, you can discuss this question. Can our country become sustainably peaceful when already beating children is allowed? Um, and the title of my talk, The Forgotten Peace Formula, is the title also of my ebook that you can find out there on the internet. So what I did was to search for worldwide data regarding violence against children and about the legislation regarding corporal punishment. And the sad thing is, right now, only in 1/3 of the countries worldwide, corporal punishment of children is prohibited. And this leads to an even bigger question, of course. Can the world become a peaceful place when in so many countries children are not protected from violence? And one source of data that you can easily access on the internet is the Wikipedia page, Child Corporal Punishment Laws. And there you also have the kind of timeline, which countries were the first ones to abolish physical punishment of children. And there you see Austria has been the fourth one in 1989. Sweden, Finland, Norway, many European countries. And in fact, European countries are right now among the most peaceful ones. And I compared these data with the Global Peace Index. The Global Peace Index is a report that is published every year, and you also can download it as a PDF without any cost. And in fact, Austria is right now is ranked fourth on this Global Peace Index. Means it's the fourth most peaceful country in the world. And 7 European countries are also ranked among the 10 best countries. But the legislation regarding child corporal punishment is not the only source of data. I also needed data regarding the real violence against children. And the main source for that is UNICEF. They had in the past 2 reports. One of them is called A Familiar Face, but that's already 5 years ago. Now they have a kind of data website that you can easily find, but they use the term violent discipline. So if you Google for UNICEF violent discipline, you get a map with updated data on violence against children. I had and let me say about something about the current armed conflicts. For example, Russia. In my opinion, there has been a psychological prologue to the attack of Russia on Ukraine, because in the year of 2017, the Russian Duma, which is some kind of governmental, I don't know if you could call it parliament, they decided to lower the laws regarding child corporal punishment and regarding violence against women. So some years before the attack on Ukraine, in my opinion, there has been a kind of brutalization within Russia. And if you look at the other current armed conflicts in the world, Afghanistan has no ban of corporal punishment. Somalia, Yemen, many African states, many countries in the MENA region. MENA is the short term for Middle East and North Africa. So that confirmed in many ways my theory that a widespread violence against children has an impact on the peacefulness of nations. But I have to admit, the linkage was not as clear as I hoped it would be. And but I found an answer for this problem. It takes a generation. It takes about 20 or 30 years until a generation that has grown up without any violence in childhood grows up and comes into political power. Then I had some criticism from colleagues who said, well, Franz, maybe there are other factors regarding the peacefulness of nations. Of course, that is true, but I once again tried to find psychological factors, and I created what I call the culture of violence scale, where I included additional items. I examined the laws regarding torture, so which countries still practice torture, which countries have capital punishment, which countries still allow violence against women, marital rape, and the punishment of homosexuals, and judicial corporal punishment. That means punishment in the prisons. By the way, there seem to be some countries where children can be punished in prisons through physical punishment. That's a real tragedy, I think. But let me tell you something about the process of coming there. Of course, I was looking for literature. Who else has done research about the impact of childhood on politics, on wars? And then the first book that really caught me was by Alice Miller, For Your Own Good. Alice Miller is a very famous author, best-selling author. I think everybody who is dealing with violence against children should read her books. And in this book, For Your Own Good, she examined the childhood of Adolf Hitler. And he has suffered from extreme violence in childhood. Of course, that should not be an excuse for what he has done, but it should be a challenge to examine also the childhood of other politicians. And there's a historian in Germany who continues this important work. And I regret that this book is not available in English. His name is Sven Fuchs. I think we have, after this summit, some kind of documentation, written documentation. So I will provide all the names, all the books. And Sven Fuchs is really digging into the biographies of political persons. Have they experienced violence or not? And he finds, political actors who have started wars, who have continued wars. He examined the biographies of dictators, of warmongers, and he found violence in each and every childhood of them. And by the way, because I think many people from the USA are watching, he said that Donald Trump as well as J.D. Vance and even Elon Musk. They have all experienced violence in childhood. And I think it should be discussed what kind of impact that has on the political influence they have. A very basic question then is, maybe you have heard the narrative, wars have always been, wars will always be, but there is growing evidence, and I think we will hear it also from Dr. Davidson afterwards, that basically it's in our genes to be peaceful, to be cooperative, to be loving. And one author who has really published a very concise book on that is Rutger Bregman with Humankind. He debunks the narrative that in case of catastrophes, people are starting to steal, are starting to rob. He says the reality is whenever there is a catastrophe, people cooperate, they help each other. So that's the truth. And in Germany, we have an author who has written this book, The Cooperative Gene. Another important book and an important TED talk is by Robin Grill, Parenting for a Peaceful World. He's an Australian psychologist who I think there's no better way to say what parents can do to create a better world. And by the way, if someone is listening from a country, in a country where there is a very authoritarian regime, where you don't have much chances to change the political situation, I think the one thing you still can do is start to raise children without violence, to sow the seed of peacefulness, at least in the family, right? And then there is literature about the training of soldiers. Yeah? Colonel David Grossman wrote this book in which he says that, in fact, it is very hard to train soldiers to really kill another person. They would do anything not to shoot as another person, which shows the empathy they really have, that every person has. Another confirmation of violence in childhood and violence as an adult comes from criminal sociology, criminal psychology. Jonathan Pincus has written this book after interviewing delinquents, criminals in prisons, and he has found violence in every childhood of these persons. A very good approach and research platform is the Early Childhood Peace Consortium. And on this page, you can also see a recent report about the transgenerational trauma of violence in childhood. That is, of course, another horrible thing that it has to do with epigenetics, that trauma really is transferred to the next generation and even maybe 2 generations afterwards. Then already in the 1950s of the last century, there was this book, The Authoritarian Personality. Some authors have tried to find out why did so many people follow Hitler? And they made a lot of interviews and basically found out that it is a strict parenting style that was common back at that time, which leads to the effect that these persons want again a strong leader in the country, the political system. And there's a similar book about the USA, which is called Raised to Rage by Michael Milburn and Cherie Conrad. So they, from the data I know, violence against children is relatively high in the USA, and there is no legal ban for regarding corporal punishment there. Then another author in the USA has coined the term the strict father model. This is from Wikipedia. It's George Lakoff, and he basically says the same. Some people who have experienced strict parenting are longing for a strict political leader. I'm not sure if my time is running out. So basically, what my main message is, if everyone who wants peace must stand up for legal ban of corporal punishment. And there is this great website, End Corporal Punishment. You can easily find it. They are the most important website for this issue. And the least thing you can do is to make a post on social media using the hashtag End Corporal Punishment. So I think I've said the most, and there are also free manuals out there regarding how to start a process reducing violence against children. And I think the most important one is called Inspire Strategy. And these are also free PDF ebooks on the internet. Inspire Handbook, Inspire a second manual. So I thank you for the invitation. Thank you for listening. And I hope I've given you some insight into the international and political linkages between violence against children and wars and political systems in general.